What is your favorite track from the album?
I think my favorite, the track that maybe surprised me the most, or that came together just amazingly. I mean, I think they all did, but I think my favorite is probably Love Came on Christmas, Joy to the World, and Come On, Ma Papa, just because of how just cool it ended up. Like
Mm.
it's so basically how that started is I found Grace Loqua's TikTok of Kumama Papa on this Instagram called Dust to Digital that compiles all these unique performances from all over the world. So I found that I was like, this is awesome, looking for collaborators to work with. And we're like, okay, maybe we use this as a sample. Maybe we
Wow.
how are we going to involve this and what are we going to turn this into? And then it's like, okay, what if we like mash it up with Joy to the World? Maybe we can do that. And then it like wasn't quite fitting. So I'm like, you guys should just write an original song that is based on Joy to the World, but really can fit with Kumama Papa so that we don't lose the essence of that song. And so that's what ended up happening is Kevin, Matt, and Scott took those ideas and wrote Love Came on Christmas. So they kind of fleshed it out and brought in all these different influences and created this incredible song. And then we kind of put that together in a demo, sent it to Grace. Him and his choir kind of re-recorded it because they already had another version that we were kind of using as the like sample, but they recorded it like super nicely. And he did a bunch of new ad libs that just work so well. And so, yeah, I just love how that song turned out.
Was that your discovery of the artist that's featured on that song, or did you know of them beforehand?
Yeah, no, I didn't know of Grace before that. And
That
that's
is the remarkable part about social media, and as artists, the reason the artists should be putting things out, because who knows, who's gonna see what you post, and that's remarkable. Actually, is the cool collaborations that come from social media.
Yeah, that's something, one of my big goals for this album was to highlight artists that were not already well known across the world. Grace is super well known where he's from, but,
Hmm.
not worldwide. So I really wanted to highlight not just this really famous artist, but like the ones who people might listen to and be like, oh, I want to listen. He has like an album out on Spotify that's awesome. So it was really cool to kind of work with artists like that we could highlight in that way.
Yeah, that's really cool, man, for sure. And then kind of segueing into that, I'd love to hear if you could. Another question was kind of broad. How did you choose the fabulous collaborations, who they were? But like you kind of started segueing into that. If you could name like maybe one or two more, how did say rather than going, you don't have to go through all of them, but if what you want to pick like one or two interesting ones, like how do they come up? Because there's so many different artists in the world, like you mentioned, so many like phenomenal artists and so many different genres of world music. So how were those? How did Pentatonix or and your involvement decide? Okay, we're gonna go to this genre, this genre, this genre, when there's so many to choose from.
Yeah, we started off, I have this master Google Doc from early in the conversation with all the different continents and regions of the globe and just trying to really feature a wide swath of artists from everywhere and not like leave out any regions. And I think all things considered, we did a pretty good job of like pretty diverse representation
Absolutely.
of languages, of regions, of cultures. So that was really one of the main goals. Obviously, there's always with a 12-song album, you can only go so far with that. And of course, there's people that want more from various places. But yeah, that was a big thing. What was the original question? Oh,
How
just
did you choose the
highlighting
collaborations?
how do we choose the collaborations? So yeah, so we had this master list and just kind of, okay, who's our first choice, who's our second choice, and kind of going through and finding people and asking people and just seeing who was down. La Santa Cecilia, Grammy winning group, I found out about them through a former student of mine, Lucy Arnaca, who's also from Mexico. And, I was kind of asking her about the like awesome Mexican artists and Spanish speaking artists, and she recommended them, and they're based in LA now, and awesome. Just
Yeah, man, it's all about connections and relationships, man. It's wild. That is so cool.
yeah. And then Shreya was recommended by my roommate, Shams Ahmed, who works with me on Acapop Kids on Citizen Queen. And he's also works at Acapella Academy, which is where Lucy, my student who recommended Santa Cecilia, that's how I know her. So just kind of using the musical network, asking for recommendations, doing our own research, looking at charts too, and like seeing who's popular in certain areas.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was just a lot of different ways that we found who we ended up with, and we're so
Yeah,
happy.
absolutely. It came up phenomenal.